And the reason I want to start here, because this is actually an amazing place to start, right?
So nice establishing shot.
Yeah, Leo told me that this is a very nice point of view to the city and all the Berkeley. And and we are here. We end up under
Some very huge bells.
huge bells. Hello.
Hi guys.
Yeah, we have already talked about your idea and what you did, what you're currently doing here in Berkeley. But tell me one more time, how did you end up here exactly?
So what I'm doing right now is kind of the summer course, which I talked to the camera.
Oh yeah. That's loud.
Okay, so the course I'm doing right now is called Summer Venture Lab, and it's basically a 6-week program here on the Berkeley campus, where you work on your venture, on your startup, and you have like, in my case, 15 to 20 peers that work on other projects, and you hear each other out, and you quite closely monitor your progress. You have weekly updates. What are you working on? What are the next steps? And besides that, you're I guess just trying to meet tons of people. And make new connections. And I think for me personally, the most meaningful thing has been to kind of experience the mentality and the spirit here in this area, because it is quite different to what I'm used to from Europe. Right?
In which way?
Well, I think like the main difference is risk aversion, I'd say. So you have people here are just taking way more risks. So I guess like in Europe, we would always wait until someone else tries it. And because someone else is trying it and watching him fail, maybe, or succeed, that always de-risks an opportunity, right?
Mm-hmm.
Whereas here, the mentality is actually, you try to be the first one. And even if that means you will fail, you don't care, but you try to be the pioneer. I think we can learn a lot from that. And it's kind of, specifically maybe in Germany, you would ask a lot of questions in the beginning, but before you would invest in something, for example. Conventionally, investors want to see numbers, they want to see revenue, or at least some form of financial metrics, and that just makes it way harder to build something from the ground up where you maybe don't have any metrics yet. Just an idea, and you're really in a strong team, and you have an investor who has experience with spotting this super early opportunities where they don't have any revenue yet. And I think there's way better chance of succeeding here with just an idea, just a good team, and not any revenue profits at all yet.
How many days you have already spent in the campus so far?
I'm here since 4 weeks, around, like 3 to 4 weeks. Yeah.
What was the biggest outcome of the time you have already spent here?
So I think it goes a bit like maybe two things. The first is a bit of a shift in mindset. What you, just by spending time with people here and getting to know investors, founders, in the most random situations, I think that changes a bit how you think about doing new stuff and doing entrepreneurship. And the second thing is more practical, meaning I got a lot of input for my project, so actually I decided to pivot. Just like this last week, and this again goes into like being, taking agency. I think that's a very good way to describe it. Because our prof who's teaching us here is very much an advocate of getting out of the building and talking to people. And this is what I've mainly focused on over the last past weeks, and I have done more customer interviews and learned, what we envision is actually not what the customer wants. And I think this was an invaluable learning.
Was it scary for you to make such a decision to pivot?
Not so much actually, because there's not much to lose at this stage. So there was me and someone else working on the idea. Now we work on something else. So really, I think we are still very much in the exploration stage. We have not, there's no big sunk costs except for some time that was spent on it.
What do you feel about it? I mean, when you just can go and pivot?
Yeah, it's awesome. It's the best job in the world.
It's like such a huge freedom, right?
Yeah.
That you can decide,
Yeah.
just go on the absolutely different direction.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I think this makes it very, very exciting. That you are that you can take agency in what you are doing, so you can not only experience the world, but you can actually shape it, right? You can take an active role. So this is something this is one specific thing I don't like how it works right now. I would like to change this, and what can I do to change this and then make it better.
Have you been in contact with innovation society communities in Germany or in Denmark, where you're studying?
Yeah, well, in Denmark, I'm very closely tied to, the university startup ecosystem. So the degree I do in Denmark is called Technology Entrepreneurship, and it's hosted at the Center for Entrepreneurship. So there I'm kind of like meeting all these founders, mentors, professors, and so on. And it's kind of like nice because we have a blend of research and practical startups. And in Germany, not so much. So in Germany, I worked for one startup in Munich. But again, I think it's just very different to hear how we think about startups. And I notice that when I speak with my friends or my family, that you can hear that there's, as soon as you mention founding something or doing a startup, there's this component of it, kind of like the taste of the next question being, okay, when will you fail? When will you run out of money? It's like always this sketchy feel to it if you talk about startups.
How do you see your future in terms of, are you gonna have the connection with California, with San Francisco or Berkeley, or you want to come back and do stuff totally in Europe and Germany, or you want to start something here?
So first of all, I will finish my education in Denmark, which is 1 year left. And then it very much depends what I come up with in the meantime. But it also depends a little bit on where the states are going. So I'm not sure if this in 1 year will be a place I would like to return to. It depends on where the Trump administration is going with this country, and if it gets more and more hostile. I've already I know quite a few people who cancelled their travel plans because they just didn't want to deal with the uncertainty of being rejected at the border for no apparent reasons. Because there has been a lot of cases like that where you have an ESTA but you just still don't get it. And yeah, I mean, this is just something. But then again, I guess San Francisco is like a complete bubble, so people just do their thing. And I don't know, like in LA, which is not too far, there's war more or less, but you cannot really, except for protests, it's still an enormous problem. But so it depends on a lot of factors. But in general, I think moving to this area and moving to San Francisco, even though there's by now a lot of people, have a lot of prejudices about Silicon Valley, about the people, about the tech billionaires who live there and who have got very, very negative PR for the past few months. So I guess basically Trump came back. But all of this taken aside, I think your odds of succeeding in starting something completely new is just way higher
Here in San
due to the
Francisco.
density of talent, of investors, of just having the
Attitude.
landscape and the attitude of being bold and trying new stuff. I think this is still the essence of what this place is from what I experienced so far.
Well, from your point, from your perspective, you already gained some experience in this startup industry, I would say. What would you recommend to entrepreneurs who are just thinking about to start something new, their venture, or probably have some doubts about it? What would you recommend, one recommendation?
So my key recommendation would be speak to your customers as early as possible. So I think it's very humane that you feel like, okay, you need something perfectly prepared before you can show it to anyone, because otherwise you will not get any meaningful input. And I think this is just entirely wrong, this assumption, although I also had it in the beginning. But I would go to the customer as soon as you have formulated a problem and just check if there's other people experiencing this problem as well. And do that even before you think about what your product is. Maybe you have a product already in mind, but don't show it to anyone. There's a very slogan that I think is very fitting. It's like, keep your baby in the bag. So don't spoil the conversation by showing something, because like there's something called the ugly baby phenomenon. No one is telling you when your baby is ugly. Everyone's baby is always the most lovely baby in the world, right? So if you show me your baby,
A nice metaphor.
that's such a sweet baby. I'm not going to tell you you have an ugly baby. And it's the same with entrepreneurial or with startup ideas. So if I tell you about my solution, you're going to say it's cool, even though you think, it's probably not going to work. So what I would try is get a pen and a paper out. Try to write down who's your customer, what's the problem you're solving first of all, and if it's, because it's actually not only one kind of startup, so it doesn't need to be a painkiller, it can also be a vitamin. Think about Walt Disney. It's not really solving a problem, it's adding value to society, but very much think about what is the value you provide, what is the problem you want to solve, one of those. And then think about, okay, who's buying this, who's your customer, and then directly go to these people and just speak with them. Just try to discover the problem, and then the next step, think about, okay, what is the right solution to fix this problem? And then in the next step, you can get your baby out of the bag and ask people. But only the end of the conversation. So I think this is my key takeaway.
Okay.